how mega that is. Probably pretty mega. Huh? I'm being raided! This is my very first raid. Woohoo! I've never been raided before. Hello, Damien. Thank you for the raids. How do I do shoutouts?
You have it set up /SO and my name.
I don't have it set up. I'm sorry. I will set it up. I will set it up so I can shout out raids. But y'all, go to Damien Dark Rose's page and follow him because he is my husband and he's perfect and he's way better looking than I am. So if you really like just looking at eye candy, check him out. We should probably move this up here, huh? There it goes. Okay. So as I was saying, we are going to be doing a mega build. Now, you may be looking at this going, that looks like a mega build, all right, but we're not going to keep this. And the reason is, actually, I think well, yeah, I want all the materials, so I don't have to gather more. What we're going to do, I have recently decided, is there a destroy entire structure in this game?
God, stop doing that. No. That
That's kind of
barely
crappy,
built
huh?
anything.
Toggle mode. Wouldn't it be great if I could destroy this whole structure in one fell swoop, guys? Like, I feel like that would be really great. From Little Caesars?
Yeah.
Whatevs.
Italian cheesy bread, spring pizza.
Definitely some crazy bread. Cheesy crazy bread. Um, yeah, Supremes probably.
Garlic sauce or no garlic sauce?
No, I don't think I've ever had their garlic sauce before, to be honest. Okay, so here's why I'm deleting this entire structure, guys. For one, I didn't realize when I started it that I was building into a head, and it's kind of working out weird. The shaping of this rock that I thought I was building on that turned out to be someone's face makes it really hard to put the foundations where I wanted them, which is why the whole thing is like half finished. So we're just gonna
I'll be back shortly.
make this go away. Bye, honey. Be safe. Hurry home.
I will try.
No tries, only do's. Are the dogs outside?
Yeah.
Do you want to bring them in before you go, just so I don't have to worry about them wanting to come in and banging on the door?
Sure.
Mainly because I can't get up to let them in if they decide they want to come in while I'm in the stream. Because ain't nobody want to see me stand up on this stream, trust me. Roxy. The squawking you may or may not hear in the background is my grandpuppy playing with her favorite toy, which we call Snow. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Husband and I play a lot of games that involve building. Specifically survival games, but not exclusively. And I love building. I have been building in games since Ultima Online, which was... I started playing during beta in 1997, so that was a long freaking time ago. And now back then you couldn't actually build, to be fair. In the early days of Ultima Online, you didn't build your base or your home or whatever. You purchased a plot, and whatever size plot you purchased, that's what kind of house you got. So you could have like a villa, or you could have a castle, or you could have a small tower, or you could have a large tower, whatever. But I started decorating right off the bat, and then they came out with the decorating tool, and I got really good at like fancy decorating, like taking balls of yarn and pieces of fabric and training dummies and turning them into objects that wouldn't otherwise exist in the game. For example, the game had these training, well, they weren't training dummies. They were the kind of dummies that you would see in like a seamstress's shop. They didn't have anything on them. They were just the naked dummies with no head, and they were a decoration you could put in your house, and they really didn't serve a purpose. And a lot of people didn't use them because they weren't particularly attractive, but they were there. And I used balls of yarn and fabric and a couple other things and some cotton, and I turned those into really nice, fancy looking formal dresses. And people loved them. And so I started having people offer to pay me to put those in their houses. And I could do them in any color you wanted. And I had a variety of like styles that I could do. I think I had like 4 different styles that you could choose from, depending on, you know, if you wanted off the shoulder, on the shoulder, corset, whatever. So anyway, people were paying me, they started out paying me gold. Then I had someone that was like, look, I really, really want you to decorate my house, because it went from just these dresses that I would make to people saying, if you can make the dresses, can you make a fish tank? And I was like, I don't know, let me see. And I ended up making a pretty decent looking fish tank with fish in it and stuff. So then people were like, I want you to decorate my house, but my in-game house, but I don't have gold for it yet. So can I pay you in US dollars? I'm not making this shit up, you guys. And I was like, sure. So then I started selling the gold that people were paying in and selling that for US dollars. And that was going really well, to the point where between that and I think I explained in a previous stream that I used to do like server transfers and then get stuff that was really cheap and readily available on some servers and take it to other servers where it wasn't that cheap and it wasn't that available and sell it for a huge markup, and then take the gold back to the server where everything was cheap but everybody wanted a lot of gold and sell the gold for US dollars on eBay. Now this was before UO actually banned selling gold and objects on eBay. Like, they didn't care, they were fine with it. I made enough money doing that that I actually made a living from it. So I need to put all this stuff on Alvin because I am hella overloaded right now. Anyway, so I started building, or I started decorating. Then when I got into the first games that actually allowed building, which actually UO would be the first one that allowed building, because it kind of, so you still had your assigned your plots and stuff, but you could customize what it looked like. So you would get the walls and you could basically, it's kind of like in this game, but on a much smaller scale. You could basically decide where you wanted to put your walls and what you wanted your walls to look like and how you wanted to put your floors. And so when they came out with that system, I started out, I was building my house and I accidentally put a wall where I didn't mean to put a wall. Okay. But what I noticed when I set it down is that it actually looked like a continuation of the previous wall, which made my house look like it was a 2-story house, but I wasn't actually on the 2nd floor yet. So then I was like, I wonder. So I ended up building a 4-story house, which was the maximum, but then putting the walls at a diagonal to the existing walls, which then made the house look like a 5-story house if you were outside the house. And then I put another set of walls, and anyway, by the time I got done, it looked like it was an 8-story house. And I actually had someone report my house to a GM for hacks, because they thought I had like somehow managed to hack the game and turn my house into an 8-story house. And the GM showed up and was like, "Oh no, this is not what you think it is." And so then the person who reported it was like, "Wow, this is really cool. I want to do this with my house. Can you show me how you did it?" So I showed the person how I did it. And then a little while later, I got a message from the person in game that was like, "Hey, I'm just not figuring this out. I don't really want to do this anymore. Can you just do it for me and I'll pay you?" And I was like, "Okay." So then I started getting paid to do builds. And I did builds in UO for probably, gosh, 4 or 5 years. eventually I rage quit UO because EA games took away my motivation. But yeah, so then when I got into other games that let you do garden, especially these survival games that have much more responsibility, especially Shrouded. He's attacked over the hill. And then in one season that I just went apeshit and started building like all kinds of stuff because of Eternal Land, which is, if you're not familiar, is like a place in the game that is just your own little private part of the game that you can take other people to, but it's not part of the open world. And I just started going crazy and just building constantly. One thing after another. I'd build something, take a video of it, destroy it, and build something else. Just to see if I could. Anyway, so, all of that said, long story not so short, what I want to do is, some of you may know that in Vampires Bloodlord Rising, my husband and I are building a mega structure because Vampires Bloodlord Rising offers an achievement for building a 10,000 piece structure. And I'm not going to tell you what we're building in that game because until it's finished, we haven't actually come right out and said, this is what we're building. It is a famous building, and it's something that pretty much anyone worldwide would recognize. And we're building it to the very best of our ability within the limitations and scope of that game and what building pieces and paint colors and stuff are available. We did take a load because there was, like, the columns, the paint colors just weren't there for what we needed. Not even close to it, so we just said, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do what looks good and make it black. Roxy, no. So, oh honey, I know. I'm sorry. Granny does love you. I just don't want to play tag right now. I don't. Anywho, yeah. So we are building that over there, and it kind of inspired me. I kind of want to see which game's building system offers the best option. And the safest way to do that, or the most fair way to do that, because everybody's going to have their different opinions. Like, obviously, most people are going to say, well, obviously Enshrouded, because you can build everything one tiny freaking block at a time till it looks exactly the way you want it, which is true, you can. But then there's limitations in Enshrouded too. And some people prefer to have, you know, full walls that are done, whereas Enshrouded, you pretty much, you know, like you can't, well, maybe you can now, I haven't played the game in a while. But for a while, when I was playing, you couldn't have, for example, plaster houses. They weren't, you could have like a million different colors of metal and stone, but there was no plaster. So it has its own limitations. And what I would like to do is build the same structure in all of the different games, as big as the game will allow, as close to the actual specs of the real building as I am able to within the game's limitations and availabilities. But also, the building itself isn't an easy building to get blueprints of, let's just put it that way. So, being 100% faithful to the structure itself is pretty difficult, but as close as I can get it. And then see which one turns out the best. And once, you know, I get one done, I will upload the final video to YouTube. And then, you know, you guys can go through all of the different videos that I put on YouTube of all the different builds in all the different games and decide which ones you think look the best or the closest to the original building. And yes, for the record, when the building is done, there's a very high likelihood that you will be able to know what building it is in at least one of the games, probably more than that. So if you can't tell what it is from one game, that just means that that game's building system is really limited. Okay, this... going to make this a big challenge in this particular game. It's just finding a big flat area that I can build on, because that is sort of a requirement for this, is that I have a nice big flat area to build. Although, I'm going to start here, which means I got to clear all these trees. And you do get to build foundations on top of foundations. So if I absolutely have to, I can make this thing as big as I want to really in this game. Hell, I'll just build it on the ocean, I think. I'm not going to. Maybe I'll just make it known for something like that, but this does appear to be my closest option. So go. So, this is not going to be the most interesting part of this build, but it's necessary. And I may do a fair amount of the build offline. You know what? You guys tell me, do you want me to do all of the build online where you can watch the whole thing happen? Or would you really rather just see, like, highlights? You know, like, here's the open plot that I'm going to build on, and then the next thing you see is, here's the foundation. Because maybe you don't want to sit here and watch me chop all these trees down. I don't blame you. I would if I were someone else doing it. But that's why build videos are really my favorite, because then I can just skip the parts that I don't want to watch. Which isn't to say you shouldn't be watching my stream, because I appreciate you. It's a lot of trees. Oh man, I hope these rocks can go. If these rocks can't go, this may not be as good a spot as I thought. Or I'll just have to build it on top of the rocks. I will say I am going to use the same copy of the blueprints for all of the buildings in this building. That way, any discrepancy from one game's building to the next is based solely on the game's ability, not the blueprint tuning, not, you know, how much I can actually see. Like, I've got a blueprint file saved on the iPad, and I'm going to keep it and use it for all of these builds. Well, I know I can't get rid of those blocks, so I'm going to have to build above those. I kind of wonder if these trees are going to grow back before I have the ability to build. Do trees grow back? Does anybody know? I don't think they do, because I think on my husband's server that he hosts that we play together, I think we actually cleared all the trees around the first cairn we built in order to build the house around it, and we never came back. They were, like, permanently just gone. Could be wrong. I don't know. Let's start putting down some foundies and see. Might as well rip up all these mats. We're gonna need them. We're gonna need a lot of mats, peeps. You know what? I just realized. Where the hell is my dude? Yo, my dude. Get your ass up here. You've got all my mats on you. And I need them. Plus, I'm about to leave, like, overload. No, it's not too bad. Silly. Silly granny. So, today is Valentine's Day. Y'all know that, right? And, Roxy! Do not put holes in the blob, ma'am. Not funny. yo, ma Roxy. Yo, my Roxy. It's funky. So today is also a thing that we do called Queen for a Day. We have 4 Great Danes right now. Typically, we have 3 because we have Kratos. He's my son. Freya's my daughter. And then Xena is the one puppy from the litter that we decided to keep. But then we also have Roxy, as you can see. And she is also one of the puppies from the litter. But she comes over for dog sitting all the time and play dates with her fam. And so she's here as well, and quite often. And so what we do, ma'am, I'm busy. What we do is we call it Queen for a Day because we take turns, one dog each month, and they rotate so everybody gets a fair turn. That each month one of the dogs gets to sleep in the bed with us for one night, because if we let them sleep in the bed with us more than one night a month, we would never get enough sleep. Because they be bed hogs, yo. But for one night a month, we let one of the dogs sleep in the bed with us, because otherwise, they would get really butthurt if they never got to. And then the next day, they get to go with us to Lazy Dog. If you've never heard of Lazy Dog, it's a restaurant chain that is dog friendly. It's kind of their whole gig is that they're dog friendly. Xena, you cannot sit on me. Your butt is bony. They have a patio, and it's covered and enclosed, like they can put little curtains down that like keep the wind and stuff out, and they have fireplaces so it's warm, and air conditioning so it's cool in the summer. It's just really nice place. And they allow you to bring your dogs in, and they have a dog menu. You can choose between beef or chicken, which is like a hamburger patty or a chicken breast. And then it comes with rice. You can choose between brown rice and white. And then it comes with peas and carrots, so that they get like a complete doggy meal and a bowl of water. And of course, all of that is in like disposable bowls, and then that's kept separate from the human food and the human bowls and stuff. But it's just a nice experience to be able to have your dog with you on the patio. They do have rules, and like if you have a really poorly behaved dog, I would imagine they would probably ask you to leave. But as long as your dog is behaving well and just hanging out under the table, following the rules, then everything's cool. So we take them to do that. I don't like this mode. I want my mouse back. So we go do that. Oh look, tutor. Desert. Huh. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that which foundations I have available is going to determine the success of whether or not this looks the way it's supposed to look. And also, I think I'm going to have to use this rock as the high point, and then everything else above it. Yeah, so the dog gets to go with us to Lazy Dog. They have like this club. It's called the Campfire Club, and if you are a subscriber, it's like $5 a month. And once a month, you can have either a free dessert or a free appetizer, which is why we go once a month. So we went today. It was Zena's turn to be queen for a day. She's our black and white, our Harlequin Great Dane, the Grand. And so she slept in the bed with us last night, and I gotta tell you, she's, out of all the dogs, she is the biggest of the bed hogs. She likes to, like, spoon with me. She likes to snuggle with her back smashed up against me, as close to me as she possibly can, to the point where, like, I cannot move. And when I am asleep, I try to, like, move away from her subconsciously to give myself more room. And all that really does is cause her to um, push closer. And then the next thing I know, I'm like at the very edge of the bed. I can't go anywhere. So then what she does is she puts her feet against my husband and pushes on him. Where the hell? I really need my dude. Thought I had had the ability to summon him. But I guess that's only true if he's a calling human. More my speed. Huh. Oh goodness. Am I in tier 3 already? No, I need a lot more to just... Yeah, so we didn't get enough sleep last night, which is why I'm kind of a scatterbrain today. And then we went to Lazy Dog, but we went really early. We went at 9 o'clock this morning because we knew it was probably going to be super packed for Valentine's Day. So we went as soon as they opened at 9 a.m. to get breakfast instead of doing Valentine's Day dinner. Which is fine with me. Like, I'm not picky when it comes to Valentine's Day. I'm not like, oh, I gotta have the romantic dinner with the candy and the jewelry and stuffed animals and flowers. Yeah. My husband is romantic all the time, so I don't need a special day. But, we still wanted to, you know, just do something. So we went and did that. Then we went and got his haircut because he wanted a new haircut, and it was like, why not? It's already out, might as well do it. And then we went and got some gloves for the rowing machine because we're getting calluses under our wedding rings from rowing, and so we wanted to get some gloves. So yeah, we had a pretty eventful day. Had a good day. Let's see. I wonder if I can build storage. So I'm pretty sure that requires... Let's find out. Yeah, I don't have paper. Let's try. You can go in there, and you can go in there, and you can go in there, and you, and that should do it. Let's go find my dude. Stay on the map. That must be him, right? What is he, stuck? I might have to go turn him into a calling card to get him back. Let's go find out. I love all this stuff. It's gonna make it a lot easier. Alvin, are you stuck, sir? I'm going to be severely overloaded from this. You know that, right? But... I don't know how else to get it out of the water. So here we go. We cannot jump. Fun stuff, right? Alright, guys. Let's call this the long crawl. Which direction looks like it's the closest? Not that one. That one does, but I think it's deceptive because I don't think I'll actually be able to get out of the water at the closest point. I'd have to go past it, so I'm gonna go this way. I love how I actually look like a little old granny like shoveling to walk like that in real life. That's why I have a mobility assistance dog, because I used to be really in bad shape in real life. I fucked up my knee as a teenager, training wild horses. And, well, technically, I take that back. Technically, it wasn't even a wild horse that killed me. She was one of our fillies that we bred ourselves. So I can't even blame it on the wild horses. But, yeah, fucked up my knee really bad. And then, recently I have found out that I was iron deficient, but non-anemic iron deficiency. So, I've probably had a million CMPs, and no one, or CBCs, and no one has ever noticed that I was iron deficient from my CBCs. My ferritin was extremely low, like it was 34. So that has had a huge, profound impact of getting my iron and my ferritin under control, and finding out that that was low. But also, once my knee was messed up, then I became unstable, and when I became unstable, I lost faith in my own body. And when that happened, I started doing, like, I used to hike and horseback ride, rock climb, and do just all kinds, like, I had no fear of heights. I had no fear of pretty much anything. I just do whatever I felt like doing. And when I lost faith in my own body to be able to be stable and sound, a lot of that is not, like, you don't want to go rock climbing if you don't trust your own body. That's worse than not trusting the equipment. So, a lot of stuff just changed, and I became much more, I guess, sedentary. Just stopped going out and doing stuff and hanging out in nature and stuff. And the more I sat around, the more weight I gained, and the more weight I gained, the harder it was to do stuff, so the less stuff I did, so then the more I sat around, and it was a snowball effect. And one day I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to walk by the end of the year if I don't get this under control. Like, I was already at a point where I couldn't really walk, but, like, I could get up and go to the bathroom. I was looking at a place where I was gonna be one of those people that literally is bedbound and has to have someone taking care of them 24/7 and bringing them a bedpan. Because I was in that bad a shape. Like, I wasn't there yet, but I was headed there, and I could tell I was headed there. And so I was like, nope, I refuse to be that. So I was like, I didn't know how to reverse the cycle, though, because I was struggling so much just to go to the bathroom. With the low ferritin and the low iron, I was tachycardic all the time, so I couldn't even wash dishes. I had a hard time taking a shower without my heart rate going through the roof, and me feeling like I was nauseated and gonna pass out, and turning bright red and sweating profusely. I was on the verge of a heart attack. And so how do you exercise or even walk when you're in that situation without killing yourself? So I did some research and discovered chair aerobics, which sounds kind of embarrassing, but honestly, it was the gateway that I needed. It helped me get mobile without being mobile, you know? Like, it helped me move without being mobile. So that allowed me to start the process of building the muscles back up, because they had basically become practically atrophied. A lot of them were atrophied, but, like, not all of them, obviously. And then once I was able to start building the muscle up, then that gave me access to do more things. So I was able to get out of the chair aerobics and start doing walking at the dog park and weightlifting. Weightlifting was a big one because you don't really have to do a lot of movement around that. And you can get a lot of positive benefits just from weightlifting with your arms. It doesn't build the muscles in your legs, but it builds the muscles in your arms, which burns fat. Burning fat reduces your weight. Reducing your weight reduces the load on your legs. So it's still beneficial. So once I got to where that was working, then I started walking even more at the dog park. Then I started doing sit stands, because one of my biggest challenges was being able to stand up. So I was like, if that's a challenge, let's focus on that. And so I would just get to the couch and I would stand up and sit back down and stand up and sit back down 30 times every single day without fail. Another thing was I was really struggling to just stand. So I one day decided to set a timer. I set a stopwatch and I just stood for as long as I could. And like I went past the, oh my gosh, I want to sit down. I went past the, oh my gosh, I need to sit down. I went past the, I don't think I can do this anymore. I went past the, no, seriously, everything hurts. I went past the, I can't believe I'm still standing, until my legs started to actually wobble and it was, and my back was killing me. And it was like, okay, if I don't sit down, I'm going to fall down. And that was when I stopped the stopwatch and looked. And the stopwatch said that it was like, this is embarrassing, but it was 3 minutes. But I was like, okay, this is my starting point. Every day this week, I'm going to stand for 3 minutes. I think I did it for 2 weeks. Without question, no matter what, 3 minutes, bare minimum. How do I use this? I'm gonna stand for 3 minutes, and after 2 weeks, then I started doing it for 5 minutes. I think I started doing it for 4, and then I started doing it for 5, and then I started doing it for 6, and then I was eventually was like up to 10, and I just kept pushing myself to stand for longer and longer periods of time because I wanted to get stronger. And I knew that really the only way that was going to happen was pushing myself past what I was comfortable with into what was uncomfortable, as long as it wasn't dangerous, because there's a huge gap between uncomfortable and unsafe. And a lot of people think they're the same thing. They quit with uncomfortable, but I would go past uncomfortable but nowhere near unsafe, just to make sure that, I was really pushing myself, building the muscle, getting stronger without putting myself at risk. But in doing that, I have been able to continue getting stronger. Okay, guys, was it that way? It was that way, right? Alright, Alvin, you just find the way that's best for you, dude, because I know you don't like water. So, go around if you gotta. Oh, now you're gonna follow me through the water. Really? If you get stuck again, so help me. Jesus. Then, the best thing that has happened so far is we got a rowing machine. And I gotta tell you guys, I love this rowing machine. Like, okay, so on, I want to say Tuesday, when we first got the rowing machine, it came with an app that was like a gamification app that was supposed to make rowing more fun. It's like playing a video game while rowing, right? Yay, let's do that. Not knocking it, but wasn't loving it. So then there was another app that I actually downloaded like 3 more apps that were supposed to gamify rowing, and they were all really cool. But also they had their limitations, and all of them wanted me to do a free trial, and then once the free trial expired, they wanted me to start paying for it, which I didn't want to do. So this is not the hill that these are not the stories that I'm looking for. Once the free trials ran out, I was like, need a new plan that doesn't involve paying for an app. And that was when I decided, man, where the hell? I don't think this one either, because this one has something on it already. Where the hell are my baskets? Guys, where are my baskets? Oh no! Ow! Be the what? You guys can't see it, but I am terrified right now. Bevo! Stop it! You manipulative little dog. You're manipulating me. Yes, you are. I know, it's funny. She's a Great Dane, and I call her little. Because of the Great Danes, she's the smallest. Where was I gonna build? Is it up there? Was it that high up? I don't know. It's not here. more attention to where I was putting those baskets. So, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, we got the rowing machine. And Tuesday was when it wouldn't let me do anything in the apps without paying for an account. So I was like, alright, I need to find some other way to motivate myself to row. And I chose rowing over all of the other exercises because one, it's joint friendly, so no matter, because there were days that I would want to work out and I'd wake up and my knee would just be bad. Like if it was raining, forget it. My knee's like not having it. It will not work out or let me work out or function in any way, shape, or form that could even remotely be construed as proper. It's not here because I wouldn't have wanted to build on top of all of these spires. Damn, where was that? Oh, hey. Was it over there? Yeah, I think it was over there. Oh shit! I know where this is. Don't want to go near it. Yeah, so rowing turned out to be the best option for me because it meant that I could work out even on days when my knee was just not having a good day. And I like rowing. I used to kayak, so it felt really similar to that. Yay, this is the spot. This is not my baskets, but there they are. But it was similar enough that I was like, I can do this. This is a thing that I can do. Oh Lord, where is he? He's coming. Slowly but surely. He's making his way up here. So Tuesday, I turned on a YouTube playlist that was the best workout songs of country music. Which I'm not really much of a country person, but I used to really be into it in my teenage years because I lived in an area where that was really all there was on the radio and stuff. So I was like, sure, country, let's do it. And tried that out. Didn't love it. It was okay. Like, I managed to do the workout, but I didn't really feel very motivated. So then Wednesday, I tried the best workout songs. Actually, no, I take that back. Monday was country. Tuesday was the best workout songs of the 80s. No, the 90s. Because I was born in the 80s, so 90s music was what I grew up on, really. I grew up on a lot of the 80s music too, but it was mostly like my brother's music because I was too young to really be into it. And like the problem that I had, and my husband had the same thing because like he tried it and he's like, the problem I'm having is I want to sing along, and like you can't do that if you're trying to seriously exercise and exhaust yourself so that you're breathing hard or whatever. So then, we decided to try, or I decided to try another playlist. I ended up Googling like best workout music for a rowing machine. And I did in fact get a result that was Viking drums. And I was like, yeah, that's probably a really good choice. That's probably the one I need. Because, they did a lot of rowing. So I tried tried it, and I gotta tell you, like, it worked. It 100% worked for me. It was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I needed. I just turned the music on, turned my brain off, closed my eyes, because, like, with all of the gamification apps, I had my eyes open, I was watching the screen, and, I mean, eventually, like, you spend more time watching the numbers and the timer, and how long is this going to take, and when is it going to end, and how much time do I have left, more than you're actually watching, you know, the beaches of Borneo fly by on the video. And so with this, I just closed my eyes, and I just started to row. And I just kept on rowing, and I gotta tell you, it was awesome. I loved it. Like, the workout was over before I even realized I was working out. I didn't, like, look at the clock, like, how much time do I have to keep doing this for? It was perfect. Absolutely freaking perfect. And, so I told my husband, I'm like, you're gonna love this. And, like, I imagined myself, like, on a Viking ship, moving through the tributaries of England, looking for some monasteries to sack and some villages to plunder, right? Like, it was fun. And, so that's what I've been doing the last couple of days. I've just been going through that. It's like a 4-hour playlist, and I row for like 25 to 30 minutes at a time. So I just go through that playlist. I think we're gonna do, trying to figure out where to put, you guys are like, why are you running back and forth? I'm trying to figure out where to put the door, so that I can start kind of in the middle, and damn, that statue's gonna be in the way. Oh well. Oh well, I don't think we're gonna find a perfect place in this game. I really don't. It does not lend itself, like, it gives you the ability to build the biggest structure you want, but it doesn't give you the terrain for it, that I found. Listen, if anybody in chat knows this game and knows a spot on the map that is perfect for what I want to do, feel free to send it me. Because aside from the big giant water area, I honestly can't recall having seen any wide open space that is relatively flat, that isn't full of boulders and stuff like that, that doesn't already have something built on it. Like, there's ruins everywhere in this game, which makes it really hard to just find a good wide open space for a mega build. Hey, the pizza's here. So, that means we are going to pause the mega build here and put ourselves in BRB, and then once husband is back on his system, we will raid over to him. But at least we found our spot. Yay!
Good.
Hola!
Hola.
Gracias.
Stay.
You're like, oh my god, that smells better than whatever Vina got to have for breakfast. This does not look like a hot and ready pizza.
No, it's not. Tis an ultimate supreme Detroit style.
Mm. Yeah, I could tell because it's square. My parents used to get Detroit style all the time when I was a kid because Little Caesars had this thing where it was like a giant piece of cardboard that was like 4 feet long, and they would put 2 square Detroit style pizzas on it. And it was really affordable, so it would feed our whole fucking giant family for like $20. And we all loved that it was square because that means it doesn't have any crust. Like edge crust. For the longest time, I didn't know Little Caesars did anything but square. Go away!
Never tried Detroit style before.
Well, after you bite it, you got it full of green onions and mushrooms and... or green peppers and onions and mushrooms.
Well, no, I got Detroit style too.
Mm.
so thick.
That just makes it feel like deep dish. Crust doesn't have toppings on it. So, I've always been a fan of deep dish anyway.
Well, I'm glad I didn't fuck it up.
Kind of hard to fuck up pizza. Possible, but hard.
You want garlic?
Mm-mm. Thank you, though.
Well, looks like you got a chatter or two. Or was that me?
You?
Oh.
Pretty sure you're my only viewer unless you stopped viewing.
Yeah, I don't have anything open.
Oh, I'm my only viewer. You rated the channel with me.
Makes sense.
Although it says you're rated with a party of one. Wouldn't that just be you, or does that mean you plus one?
Oh. I think that would just be me.
I'm not surprised Little Caesars came back up, though, because you brought it up the other day. And I think we decided not to even eat out. But we were talking about it. Or was that the night we ended up getting dressed and going to Texas Roadhouse?
I don't know.
I think I asked you to bring food home. And you were like, what do you want? And you said Little Caesars, Burger King, or something else. And I was like, no, we should probably just be good and stay home and eat what we have. And you were like, we should. And I don't remember if we actually went out that night or not. I think we did, though. I think I messaged you and was like, or we could go to Texas Roadhouse. And you were like, that sounds like a good idea. But anywho's, I thought then, I'm like, wow, he hasn't mentioned Little Caesars in forever. That means he's craving it. Especially considering that I could think of like 3 other pizza places you'd choose first. And it's not like it's a convenient, easy on your way home location that you can just grab and go, you know? I thought either that or he just wants to do something that's only going to cost $5 for a hot and ready. For Bill's sake. I think I forgot how much I liked their Detroit style. It could use more cheese. But the crust is phenomenal.
It's pretty good. I'm third slice in, and I feel a lot more full than I would have if it just been 4 regular slices, and I think that's because it's mostly bread.
I think if I got this again, I'd just get mushrooms, onions, and maybe black olives with extra cheese. Maybe mushrooms, onions, and tomatoes.
No.
Yes, please. Thank you. Remember when we used to be able to pass food back and forth to each other, and the worst that could happen is Jazz and dance around on her back legs underneath us? Now it's like the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park.
I love how buttery like the bread is though.
Mm-hmm. That's why their crazy bread is so much better than their normal pizzas, because it's the same big square fluffy crust that's in the Detroit style. I wonder how much they'd charge me to put toppings on an order of crazy bread. Oh, thank you.
ever done buttery bread like Little Caesars that I can think of is Olive Garden breadsticks, to be honest. And even they're not quite as buttery tasting. Obviously, they don't have the cheese, but
I was gonna say, if we're talking breadsticks, can we, like, not remember that we just ate some really fucking buttery bread at Lazy Dog today? Because that is way closer to these than Olive Garden breadsticks.
yeah.
Freya? Hold on, Kratos and Beaver.
Sure, you're not bread with them.
Just the edges.
Who's got a piece so far?
Freya and Roxy.
Sit. Kratos, sit. Big white.
And Beaver. You okay? You didn't chew it, did you? No. I'm offended by the fact that the only time you ever kiss me is when you want me to dispense food. But then you were licking the shit out of your papa this morning and you knew he didn't even have food in his mouth. Makes me feel a little cheap and used. Babu. Cheap and used. No.
Good call. It's not Johnny Mac's good, but still good.
In a totally different way, it's just as good in it. Maybe even better. Can I have a water refill when you're done putting those away?
Yeah.
Can you also take my cup? Since you're headed that way. Many grassies.
Nads.
D-nads. These nads. No, still waiting on you.
Back to collecting and stuff on Nightingale.
Don't you?
Yeah.
No, you are not the party of one I was because you raided me to my own channel. And that makes me my only viewer.